Young Justice issue 1, Brian Michael Bendis writing, Patrick Gleason on the art. This was a bigger first issue. Didn't feel it though, it flew in. But that's just how it is. So
I'm gonna mute my mic, otherwise I'll just make snide remarks the whole time.
Yeah, you should. So this issue is the team essentially, like, barring one character who like pops up at the end. Essentially, there's an invasion from Gemworld, because Gemworld are upset because Earth's having too many crises, and every time there's a crisis, it affects them as well. And like this stupid Earth, they've had 7 of these bloody things, and it keeps messing with our timelines and our
I
rules.
love the meta-ness of that opening section.
Yeah. Very intrigued with the fact that they're talking about crisis, because obviously a lot of the characters that we're even using are characters who were either wiped out by a crisis or a flashpoint or so on and so forth.
Or new inventions.
So basically they invade middle of Metropolis, and Jenny Hex is there on a truck. Tim Drake as Robin jumps in. Then there's a quick little flashback to show that he was talking to Cass that he just ran into. So Wonder Girl eventually jumps in. Teen Lantern jumps in. We have these 5 characters. It's all glorious art. It's all really fun to look at. Impulse shows up. Bart Allen
someone
eventually.
yells Kid Flash at him, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever suits you."
No, that wasn't the line. Because he saves Maggie Sawyer and her cops, and they say, "Who are you?" And he yells out Impulse, and they're like, "Who?" He's like, "Oh, Kid Flash." He's like, "We'll just say that then." So, and that's the. So first and foremost, I enjoyed the issue a lot. It's fun. It's pulpy. The way they bounce off each other is great. Art looked gorgeous, but there was kind of one nagging feeling throughout this book, and it was multiplied a great deal. I'm just watching Connor's face as I say things.
You said one nagging feeling, and I wanted to jump in with a comment, and I was like, nope, don't do it.
So the one thing that really kind of like stuck out, because obviously it felt like it was going quickly, and I'm like, okay, it's your issue 1, you want to have all your characters going to your big hero team up shot and blah 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 blah. So when Bart comes swooping into the main fight with everyone else there, Tim turns around and goes, "Bart!" And I'm like, wait a minute, why does he know who Bart is? Bart just get out the Speed Force. What's going on? And then, then 2 pages later, he says something like, "Bart, we talked about this." Now, reading that a second time and talking to some people on Twitter, it's very clear that there's been some stuff that's happened before this issue that we're going to see later, right?
Yeah.
But it did come off as really weird when I was reading this, where it felt like, wait a minute, why does he know who Bart is?
So I took this all as this is what Tim Drake was doing in between when we saw him last. After Tynan was done with him, right? Him and Stephanie went off to college.
Where's Stephanie then? Why is Stephanie getting gimped and all this?
And I think that's where it's gonna come in. Young Justice is a blind spot to me. I've never read it. The early run. I just jumped straight to Teen Titans. Does spoilers show up in there at any point? So I know she's Tim Drake's girlfriend.
I've not read it. I don't know.
No, I know. I'm wondering to the viewers if they do know.
I'll do some Googling.
Honestly, if I have a hope for 2019, is that I want Stephanie Brown something and not as Tim Drake's girlfriend. If I have a complaint about Detective Comics, like that Tynan run, which I liked a lot, is that it was basically she was always tied to Tim, and it was kind of annoying.
Yeah. But so here, this as I'm reading it, I am just full of wonder, which
of course
is great because it's Wonder Comics, right? Like
yeah. Because that big shot of Tim landing in the car when he first pops up,
and he's back in the Robin costume, and they call him Robin and not Red Robin, which was always one of my biggest
which maybe implies that he remembers more than he did last time we saw him. That he's went investigating and he's actually uncovered some stuff. Yeah. So here's the thing. So I saw Bendis tweet out like the day or two after this, just saying that I know everyone's got questions about how things work in this. Don't worry, I've got a list of 37 things that I know I need to answer, and they're being answered over the course of the next 5 or 6 issues. You'll get a few answers per book. And I'm like, okay, he's acknowledging that these things need to be answered, and I can feel better about it because he's getting to it. It's fine. Because issue 1, you want to have everything come out and do all these things. Because it did raise questions. I was like, wait, why does that? Because it makes sense that Bart remembers Young Justice because he must be like Wally because he's been in the Speed Force. He remembers things from pre-Flashpoint. And presumably at the end, when they all get sucked into Gem World and he sees Connor Kent, he knows who Connor is. Because he remembers all that. Connor knows who he is too, because Connor's been trapped in Gem World, seemingly.
My favorite thing in that issue is there's a lot of my favorite things in this issue.
Of course there is.
But when he goes, that's impossible, and he goes, what? He goes, you grew a beard. Like, right there, it's hitting the Bart Allen that I've missed so much. Like, Wallace was, I mean, he was fine, but I always just felt like they were adding him in there just to have a Wally.
Mm-hmm.
And it, but Bart being back and being his ADD self that can't sit still, oh man, it felt right.
Yeah. No. He's delightful. They're all kind of delightful. The new characters are interesting. Jenny.
I love her.
Of course you do. I mean, she's a redhead, so of course Matt
Well,
loves
that has
her.
nothing to do. I knew once.
Yeah.
Once I started reading it, and I was like, "Oh my god, she's like Indiana Jones." Like,
she's Indiana Jones, yes. But we also have Teen Lantern, and I love that name, by the way, because
which is interesting too, because we don't get to see them. They're in the construct.
Yeah, she's inside her construct because she's basically her construct is a mech suit. She's built herself a mech suit with the Green Lantern energy,
which is cool.
Which I actually really I like if that's her thing. Even if we see her typically like when they're just meeting and stuff, but every time they go into battle, if it's always like a green mech suit, I'm actually kind of down to that.
That'd be pretty cool. She also said she could change the name because
I don't want to. Teen Lantern sounds great.
But I like it. I like that it's a little self-referential there. She was like, and she's a teenager. She's just like, well, if you don't like it, I can change it.
The audio listeners are missing out on Connor shaking his head at every single thing we are praising here. It's kind of amusing.
Not everything, just that I was fine with the Jenny Hicks stuff, but this Teen Lantern sounds atrocious. Everything like you've sounded. Usually, I'm okay with a lot of Bendis' ideas. It's just the reading that I don't like. But
what do you not like about a Teen Lantern?
Everything, all of it sounds awful.
But this is what, Connor, this is where I disagree with you on this type of stuff, where I feel like it's just a snap judgment, like, because you've just decided it's Bendis and you're not going to like it because we know next to nothing about Teen Lantern.
Yeah.
And it might not actually be Green Lantern energy.
I don't have a problem with anything else you've said, do I?
But what about Teen Lantern is the problem? Like, I think about it sounds bad.
And it's one issue. Now, if this somehow ties into the Green Lantern and it goes against everything we've been taught about Green Lantern and it's just Bendis bending the rules so he can have a Teen Lantern character, I mean, yes, I'm with you.
There's rules
but we don't know yet.
Well, no, but there's rules being bent because we know that she's kind of like she's like fixed a lantern she found. It's not like she's been picked by the core, right? She's kind of hacked in essentially, to use the energy.
That I hate.
I don't hate that. I'm fine with that.
I do. I hate a teenager hacking into the Green Lantern core. No, piss off.
Makes more
no part of that.
I like when you throw a just a basic human being on the super team, and because Tim has his brain. He's not like Batman in that way, where that's kind of his power. Jenny Hex just has guns, and I even like that Tim has issues. Like, don't you have anything less lethal? And he's like, this is all I got right now.
Yeah. Luckily for Tim, though, they're fighting like these Gem World like alien looking dudes. So
I did a deep dive on Gem World just via the internet, and found out a lot of stuff, which is very interesting considering what Bendis is doing over with Superman and whatnot. Is that Amethyst's first appearance was in a Legion of Superheroes book. It was like a backup. And then it came out, in the 80s, trying to capitalize on that sword and sorcery, where it was pitched as something completely different. And then one of the editors wanted to use like birthstones as a thing, as the gimmick. So the writer just went and adapted it. So you have this world it's a fantasy world where that's swords and shields and
it's very traditional in that sense.
Yeah, sword and sorcery, like Connor was saying earlier. And Amethyst is a secret princess. It's kind of this chosen one, raised on Earth. She comes back, and it's kind of reverse Billy Batson. I think she ages differently on Gemworld than she does here. But it ties back into Legion of Superheroes is that one of the characters that becomes the big villain in Gemworld is Mordru. And Mordru is one of the big villains of Legion of Superheroes. So it creates this big old circle around there, and that I just feel like bringing Gemworld into this with the teen heroes is oddly fitting. So it just tells me that Bendis really did his DC homework. Like nothing's random. It's not like he's like, oh, Gemworld's this cool thing. We're gonna with a teen hero in Amethyst, we're gonna throw her in there. But like, no, there's precedent for it. Outside of that, I'm not sure Gemworld like we can get. I'm curious about the Amethyst book. Upon hearing that, like if they're gonna go full on like Game of Thronesy, or if they're gonna be more.
I have no opinion on like do I want an Amethyst book or not at this point. All I have her in this issue is one splash page of like revealing that she's there because she's got a sword up to I think it's Tim's neck or whatever it is.
But we also see like she's not the princess because the leader in the beginning I think is from the Amethyst Kingdom, right? So. And they're working for there's a thing with the opal and whatnot. So
I love all the different the gem houses in
yeah. Well, no, it is very Game of Thrones. You can kind of see like that trope that gets used, the different houses and whatnot. But I'm curious. I'm like not curious, but I'm excited to see where it goes because why was Connor on Gemworld? It's this place of magic.
Yeah, I feel like just much like Bart was in the Speed Force, I feel like Connor was probably trapped in Gemworld since. Maybe not even Flashpoint. Maybe a previous Crisis.
Well, I'm thinking that has to do with Mxyzptlk because when we first realized that Connor was missing and wasn't at all in continuity was Superman Reborn when they redid the origin.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm wondering if Mxyzptlk had kind of pulled him, threw him over to Gemworld. He's been over in Gemworld since.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because you can just chalk that up to Rebirth because he has been gone since Flashpoint. I'm not counting the New 52 Superboy because that was just terrible. Like the whole.
It's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's his own character. John Wayne Kent is not Connor Kent like at all. But he's in the Metropolis Kid uniform. He has the spikes on the jacket, which is totally weird. But it's Connor. It's my Connor. And I'm excited.
Look at that. Matt finally got Connor Kent back after all this time.
We got Wally, we got Connor, we got Bart.
137 episodes.
We didn't even touch on Cassie and how she is.
Yeah, you started deep dive into Jim. I wasn't even finished talking about the actual the fight. Because basically Cassie's reluctant to get into the fight in the first place. And then eventually, like, things are starting to look bad. Like, Robin and Ginny are getting their asses kicked a little bit. And, there's that great thing at the bottom of the 2-page layout where she just puts her hands, like, across each other. And then the next page, she's sort of, like, flying in the air. I actually really like her design. I've seen, like, mixed opinions on her design in this, or outfit. I actually kind of like the hoodie and shirt design.
I do too.
It feels more like a modern teenager look as opposed to like this, Wonder Girl costume.
Again, I haven't read any Young Justice, but I remember reading Wizard and a lot, and they were really big on Young Justice. And her costume when she first started was very much that. It was something she just pulled together out of her closet. So if they want to play that up, I'm perfectly fine with that. Like you said, it looks like something a teenager.
Yeah,
we're just wearing.
I'm actually digging the headphones wearing because she seems to always have headphones on, and I was kind of like into that. Just a design choice. It was kind of working for me. It all kind of builds up to Bart kind of screaming, "Hey, it's happening!" And they all kind of question, "What are you talking about? What's happening?" And then you get the 2-page spread of him saying, "Young Justice is back," and then there's some meta jokes where he says, "Young Justice assemble," and everyone's like, "Wait, assemble what?" Like, no, Young Justice United? No, not that either. No.
that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, so no, it was just it was mostly just an issue full of fan service moments and introducing the new characters very briefly, and some of the concepts we're going to be playing with. But it was very much here's a lot of big splash pages and action beats, and here's the chemistry of the characters, but the actual intricacies of it, the actual what the hell's going on, we're going to be delving into that more next issue. So.
Also, just looking back through Young Justice, the beginning, who seems like it's going to be the villain, was born on Earth.
Yes.
And came to Gemworld, so it's not someone from Gemworld.
Yeah, and I didn't recognize him because they take their hood off at one point. Because I thought the whole point of the hood was that it was going to be like, oh, it's actually this person that we know, and I didn't recognize them. So
after the research, maybe it's more Drew. That's how we're gonna get there. I don't know, but I'm very excited where this goes. I'm excited for all the Wonder comic books. I'm going to try them all out. don't necessarily know if I'm going to read them all month to month because that's hard.
Yeah, so I'm curious that there's definitely implications that at least Bart and Tim have been in communication before this issue, and we'll get that explained as it goes on. Because if Bendis tried to sell me that they just know who each other are, as if continuity is just kind of like not what it is, I'd criticize it. But it's clearly setting up that no, they have been in contact. Like presumably after Bart got out of the Speed Force and Tim was doing his soul search, and they kind of ran into each other, and it's already been a thing. So
and they try to get Cassie, and she wanted no part of it. But it's almost like the fates have intervened. So.
Yeah. Cassie's very reluctant at first, and you know Tim's like, "Oh, we'll talk about this later." Again, implying there's some history here that we've not dived into yet, or dove into yet, to speak English correctly. So no, it's very good. It's very good. I'm excited for issue 2, and I'm still amused that Connor can't enjoy the return of all these characters that he likes. It's very funny. Matt, what do you give it out of 10?
That's a 9. Come out to get hot.
Yeah, I agree. It's 9 out of 10. That was a really good issue. Really good issue. So some wonky, like, wait, how's this happening? But there's clear implications of it being delved into later, so that's okay.